Okay, so I'm Heath Jones of Burnout Entertainment, and I call myself a first-generation gamer, and I'm building a $1 billion esports entertainment products and services company. Okay. I believe that personally, the world is moving from in the first world, we're moving towards a leisure-based economy. I believe this for as long as some of you have been graduating from UCF, from what I hear there. Is automation is killing jobs faster than we can repatriate them. And so that's the industry that I want to be in because it's double-digit growth year on year on year on year. Okay. Automation is destroying the old forms of labor and gaming. I call myself a first generation gamer. I had an Atari for Christmas in 1983. Who wasn't born in 1983? Okay. Gaming has now gone from a parochial pastime of teenagers to a multi-billion-dollar global phenomenon. Okay. Corellis Entertainment is going to be at the epicenter of this space. So let's talk about who we are. So 2050 esports in we own a couple of brands within the 2050 genre. Corellis Entertainment was set up as predominantly beginning as a movie company. I come from the movie industry from a previous carnation, and I moved into esports half a decade ago when I saw the growth of esports. I executed a culture convention in Daytona in 2015 through our esports brand. We brought the first major esports event to Daytona at the Ocean Center, and we also executed the world's first Halo 5 tournament at the same time, some like 2 weeks after the game came out. And you know, something that I found out while when we were executing that event is that's when we pivoted full time into esports. I invited 39 celebrities, including, you know, Michael Bean, the cast of Jaws. I had Kim Possible, Christy Carlson Romano. I had Boba Fett at my convention, and every single one of them, apart from these two celebrities, cost me money. You know, I lost so much money on that. It was a great success. Everybody says it's a great success, the event, but financially it cost me a lot of money because 37 of those 39 celebrities were a net loss to me. These two weren't. Anybody know who they are? That's Master Chief and Cortana, voice actors from that's Jen Taylor and Steve John, you know, stay in the fight or whatever he says. They both had minimum guarantees of $5,000, which meant everything they earned less than that from signatures and photos. I had to make up the difference, and they both, Steve Jones made nearly $10,000, so I was a profit on both of those stars. And that, you know, in the previous, you know, this was the event itself. That was the main hall, but I took one look into the hall where 70 teams were competing for $15,000 of an Halo 5 event that's Call of Duty undercard, and I just said to my business partners, we're in the wrong business. So we pivoted very quickly into esports. I became, for the next few years, an esports entertainment and broadcasting company. We've done over 100 events on broadcast. We've got a couple of brands, Midweek Throwdown. We would have Street Fighter and Call of Duty, and we have it online with, you know, broadcasters. And we had one major live event every year. So 2016, 17, 18, 19, we're having one major live event. I signed a co-branding agreement with Daytona International Speedway, and I've executed 3 events under that license, including Richmond Raceway. And we were growing a successful esports live entertainment business. And then this happened. What I call the fifth horse of the apocalypse. And most of my competitors are out of business now. You know, COVID killed, you know, temporarily murdered the hospitality industry, the events industry, and almost killed my industry, you know, our business. The bigger companies survived because they all were able to dip into the resources the government made available. But smaller companies, you know, we don't have the best attorneys and accountants because they all got to the money first. But luckily, for our company, we had started to notice something in 2019. Anybody know who that is? Anybody?
Ninja?
Ninja.
Ninja?
Okay, he's the world's most successful streamer. He earns about $500,000 a week. He has 15 million followers on Twitch, and he, as you know, we call it the rise of the rise of the streamers, the content creators. There's an entire industry of people now who monetize their gaming content online, and we noticed this. And so, and as you know, because we're broadcasters and effectively streamers ourselves. And so I'm going to see if this works. I think this, and I don't know. So something that I noticed in 2019 that we noticed as a company. Okay, anybody familiar with Reddit? So this is a battle station. There's 3 million members. Anybody who's a member of this Reddit? And so I started to notice something, and this is live now. So I'm really doing this in live. So okay, we started to notice that what happened in this particular space is the industry is innovating around the space technologically. So, you know, Dell comes up with Alienware and all this great AV technology that's augmenting the game, improving the gaming experience. But slowly but surely, what is starting to happen now, we noticed it a bit earlier, it's starting to happen is that nobody was innovating in what I call the ergonomic space. You know, what do you notice about these images? I'll tell you what I noticed. Great technology, crappy desks. Okay, so people are, you know, look at that. So, and if you are a streamer, part of your brand is is how well built your battle environment is. And so we started to develop some prototypes. I brought in a lot of streamers and gamers from Full Sail, maybe a couple from UCF, got into a big focus grouping and decided to say, what does this space need? What does the technical furniture environment need to look like? So I'm going to try and get back to my presentation. Okay, so 5 prototypes later. This is down the hall. Anybody's welcome to come and see this afterwards. This is now what we've spent all of our time, money, resources developing and we're bringing to market. Okay. Huh? About 1 minute. How strict are you? Well, that's 1 minute 25. So let's go to the end.
Rupert will wrestle you to the ground.
We don't have any speakers in here.
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I'm not going to show it then, because there's an English guy narrating over it and talking about it. So this is the 2050 stream station that is sitting down the hall that you're all welcome to come and take a look at afterwards. Get back onto here. Sit through the rest of the presentation. We'll wrap up speed. So we bring in the 2050 stream station. It has all of these features that I'm willing to take a look at afterwards. But most importantly, what we're doing is we're attacking a market which COVID has only made bigger for us. There are 35 million Americans still going to be working from home in 2025 that were furloughed during the pandemic. And so this is a stream station that's predominantly aimed at the streaming environment, but there are other verticals that exist for people who study, work, game from home, casual gamer and serious gamer alike. Industry analysis, if you've got any interest in esports and gaming, you'll know that it's a double-digit annual growing industry. And this is the first of many products that we're developing for this space, including products for hotels and hospitality, arenas, military, and a lot of it because we believe that esports and gaming infrastructure is the next opportunity within the industry. I'm nearly done, I promise. Marketing strategy.
You've entered the parking lot for your destiny.
Okay. You made it when we told me to stop. How are we marketing? Well, our plan is to attack it through the AV and the e-commerce industry and have other people distribute our products. There are companies out there with tens of thousands of salespeople in the AV industry that sell this kind of product into school, colleges, arenas. We are already cementing deals with the world's largest AV company and a couple of online e-commerce providers. Our job as a company is twofold. We're going to market and we're going to innovate. And we're going to use other people's sales infrastructure to get our product to market. Okay. Cost. This is a bed blend product. The more expensive it costs, the more people are willing to pay. everybody else in this industry that we found that's coming into this space now, they're coming in at the commodity end, which gives us a strategic advantage. It means high obsolescence, high volume, low margin. We're the other end. We're going to be low margin, custom built, low volume, high margin. We're pretty much now ready to go to market, as you can see from all of our strategic goals are being met, and as I've already mentioned, our sales channels beyond the stream station is that we are going to be a technical furniture. I hate the term furniture, but we are a technical furniture and AV integrated company building the next generation of esports infrastructure. Competitive advantage with domestically built, AV integration ready, modular design. The last thing I want to say on this is that this product is designed to be inherited by your children. It's a full aluminum chassis. It can be, if modular designed, all the technology can be upgraded, and it will go with service contracts with whoever sell it. So it's not designed to be thrown away. And I think we're going into a sustainable, sustainability is the new, the new buzzword. Great team. We're gamers, we're esports professionals, we're manufacturing professionals and financial professionals. So we've got an executive team that can bring this. Okay, contact information. Sorry you didn't get to see the video. Anybody afterwards who wants to come and see a live demonstration of, I think it's just down the hall. And Heath Jones and great.
All two things you mentioned military, and one of that, and then some chart.
Yes, sure. So I've had two consultations with a contractor that was working with Fort Knox. They're building they're building esports infrastructure, and that's when I got onto the notion that gaming is highly competitive and it's a highly militarized environment for some of those games. And all of the major branches of the US military have their own esports infrastructure because they recruit. I don't know whether you know this, or whatever it doesn't matter what your politics are, but the Air Force regularly recruits from drone pilots from the gaming industry. And so it's got a competitive element. So they're building infrastructure, and there's thousands of US bases, and go down the bar or go down the esports arena. So we know that they are. As for affiliates, so Ninja is probably the best example of an affiliate. One of the ways that streamers and content creators monetize their content is through product placement and partnerships, and often they are affiliate contracts where they'll represent, gaming controller, stream deck pattern. So they'll have relationships with the providers, and they get a commission and they promote it. So one thing that's valuable to us about the streaming community as a company is it's millions of dollars of marketing we don't need to do. Because if you've got a really cool setup, what do you want to do? You want to tell everybody about it.
Is it manufactured in the States or overseas?
It's manufactured here. The aluminum chassis was 2 miles up the road.
All the parts are from the US?
Not all of them, 90% of them. But that's increasing. The legs themselves came from a company called Human Scale, and I think they came in from over there. Now, what's happened since 2016 is there was a huge interruption in supply chains, and so much product manufacturing is actually coming back. So if it's not 100% yet, we expect that it will be at some point, and that's what we want to do anyway. So I think cost of bringing this in for those situations.
You based out of Daytona or?
No, based out of here.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
So are you an events company or a furniture company?
We are an esports products and services company, and so we're bringing technical furniture products. Our events and broadcasting, we came in thinking we were going to be that kind of company. That's a tough business. The margins are very low. But what we learned, and me being from a movie background, produced and directed and written a number of pretty successful independent films. And so what I've realized is that having a production company is that we're not a production company. That's a marketing arm of an esports product and services company. So the esports events themselves are going to promote the products that we're building.
And what other products do you guys have in line for the future?
So we developed a concept for an in-room entertainment system for hotels where you can pay for play. Most gaming now is migrating to the cloud. So we think that cities like Orlando, Atlanta, Anaheim, Vegas, you go in and you get an upgrade into the esports suite, you bring all your passwords and everything and game in the cloud. You either go into your room at night, you're going to watch cable TV, and nobody's doing that anymore, but you can go in and we calculated we can capture 5% of the hotel inventory in this country with the amount of revenues we think we can generate in those rooms with the hotel partners that we've been developing this. We could be a $6 billion a year revenue generator for that. And hotels haven't had an innovation in 25 years since somebody decided to put a mini bar. When everybody said, you're going to move the bar into the room, that's the last great. And the problem that hotels have is that all of the aggregators are driving down the prices in hotels, whether it's Priceline or Expedia or anything. So hotels are looking for a way to attract people in and generate additional revenue.
You mentioned that you don't like the word furniture, and I can understand that. In the modern time, that's a ancient, an ancient term that still gets the point across.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, you're marketing the physical environment.
Yeah.
So maybe playing on that might be something that you can you can work with, and that does give you a larger palette to work with than just furniture. You can add in things like that. So just a potential suggestion with that.
We even looked around the idea of calling it a Zen environment.
You call it. I like what he's saying, environment, because you're in it, right? I mean, it's an
with an
immersive
yes.
environment is an
IN.
Environment. There you go.
There you go. There we go. We got it.
Where do most gamers get their gears from? And the second question is the resource overseas. A lot of parents move their kids. The kids at night they have nothing to do. Sit around. No, they have clubs and bars. To me, it's perfect thing for them.
Yeah, I mean, land centers became popular, then died away, and they're becoming slightly popular again. So the land centers have been around for a while, but we think that there's a definite in-room. My buddy's a neuroscientist. He travels all around the country. He's 47 years old, and every time he stays at a new hotel, he goes, "Hurry up, get this on I don't want to watch the news anymore."
Could, like Hilton put a, they have like a business center. Could you have like a gaming center?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
I had.
Come more easy into rather than getting one in every room. It's kind of like the.
No, we don't want to do every room. We had before the fifth horseman of the apocalypse hit. We had 25 rooms set aside in Daytona to beta test. In fact, we had the prototype in a room. You can go and see the reviews online. We had an actual in-room entertainment system. It can go into the business center, but we are aiming. Our initial goal is to get 5% of the inventory in a hotel, not everyone, but eventually everyone. And if you take your card, you swipe it on, you trigger it, you pay. If you don't, it just sits in the room.
What about like Airbnb? Get them in those type of applications.
Very good. Who here who stays in Airbnb ever looks after anything within them? So it's a good. We thought about it, but Airbnb is just a little bit too hard to police.
I love the idea of commercials, so hotels, yes, and even corporate. As trainings become more immersive and more fun in corporations, they need a station that's going to last.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I love the concept, but I also appreciate ergonomics, I appreciate style, but I'm not a gamer. And I wonder how many gamers truly would appreciate that and look for the higher level versus just, doesn't matter, let's just set it up and let's get in. Maybe it's my ignorance on gaming, but I wonder how much gamers themselves would value this versus at the commercial level where it makes sense to have something more durable.
Very good comment. Gamers are a big enough demographic for us to go at. But one of our early investors is a day trader, and he put money in because he says, I'm casually a game, but I day trade.
Yeah.
And this is a really great, we had to come up with this concept, trader by day. So, and the executives, of course, going through the AV companies that sell into these executive environments, you can see one of these. You're not going to get one if you're working in the call center, but if you're an executive and you're on the executive floor, you might have one in every room. Now, one more thing, I just wanted to circle back to my friend. There's a couple more things. It's that not just the in-room entertainment system. we're developing a concept for I'm not going to tell you what it is without an NDA, so, but we're developing a concept for esports organizations. 99% of all of esports tournaments take place in hotels, in ballrooms and things, and they get given round tables and tablecloths. And what I noticed when putting on events, is every time I put on an esports event, the lighting people come in. You ever seen those guys come in? They're like the Marines. They roll these roadie cases off, boom, boom. They open it, they thread the lights out, they throw them off. And when you strike the event at the end, they're out in 5 minutes. They're all on the dodge ramps and off they go. While we're all saying, "Where's this cord go? We've got this cable," and we're all putting cable up. And I just realized that esports organizations that want to run really cool events need technical furniture in those events that we could actually come up with a scalable, modular, like Lego esports package that you roll in, you go out and you sell that to AV companies and event planning companies that hotels can, can put onto their esports. Because the thing about it is it's very synergistic. If you go to an esports event at a hotel, you're going to want to stay in the esports suite because you're going to want to practice your gaming at the time you're not in the arena, and it's very synergistic. If you go into the arena, you don't want to be sitting at a wedding banquet table or something. You want to be sitting at a professional esports, environment.
As far as like the retail application, is there like a market to put like a gaming center, say in like one of these shopping complexes or in one of the malls that are have open retail space? And second, is it a good idea to maybe put this type of setup in like a kids center, like Elevate, in the Sanford, one of the malls, where it's like already attracts a group of family members, but one of the kids can sit at this desk and game all day while their family does go-karts and whatnot.
The answer is yes. If we're supplying technical furniture into the whole industry, we're like kids in a candy store. We can decide where we go in first. The land center is, as I say, started with Passe, and now it's kind of emerging again. But I did some calculation when we were I did a real deep dive on the hotel. I interviewed the hotel. I'm going to the hotel. I'm going to the esports business summit in Daytona 2022. All hotel groups from all over the country and from around the world are coming to esports event producers to look for ideas. And I'm going there to form development relationships, because I understand that there's 55,000 hotels in this country, which translates to 3.4 million rooms, which translates to 17.8 million room nights. And so if I only get 5% of that market, and I worked out that I can charge $75 a day to log into your own personal esports suite. If you're, with the family of Disney, kids in the esports suite, hotel opens the room, you pay $50, $100 to have the esports suite. You log on, you pay up to $75 to activate the technology. If I get 90% of that revenue, 75% occupancy, it's a $6.8 billion revenue stream. So we're, that's the verticals that we want to attack rather than put it in a shopping center over here.
All right. So Heath, our final question is, what can we as a community do for you?
Well, here's the problem that I'll tell you the problems that I have, and I think that probably every entrepreneur in this room will understand this problem. Is that when you're building a business like mine, you have a very restricted talent. And that is because all the kind of talent that I need for this company is probably working at SpaceX is 6 times what I can pay them. And so one of the challenges of entrepreneurs is to find good people who can help with manufacturing, marketing, all kinds of things that companies like this need. So all I say to you as a community is, if this has inspired your imagination and your interest, and you've got anything that you can offer, hit me up afterwards, go take a look at the machine and swap numbers and start building our network.
Perfect. Wonderful. We're going to wrap this off. All right, our next speaker is also in the gaming industry, and you've seen him before, and I believe he has a prize. Things could not move out of his garage. I'm waiting for you to roll your copy. Please welcome Rupert Meghnot of Burnout Game Day.
Oh, that is one. Oh. Sorry, I did that.
Yeah, two different magnets, so you could just pass. Take them. There's two different magnets there. So they're basically help, they're guides to with the assistance and knowledge about being an entrepreneur and so forth, and hopefully find it useful. So, good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming and for supporting 1 Million Cups. So, they asked me to present something today, and I have a multitude of different presentations, and I'm going to give you a presentation that I gave the junior achievement kids at a number of middle schools and high schools around the area. And this one is basically entrepreneurship in STEAM. Okay. And STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Okay. And a lot of people, everybody focuses on STEM, which leaves out the arts. And what people don't really understand is that arts are crucially important into the development of new technologies. Okay. So, his desk took a tremendous amount of creativity and art in order to design it to look the way it does, right? The engineers and people who designed that desk, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they were looking at how can we really make this our own, and how can we really make this thing functional and everything else and make it look good, right? So that takes art. So who am I? A lot of people, when you get up and stand in front of people, everybody's assuming that you're someone they should listen to. However, I don't like assumptions. So I've had 15 companies, actually 17 now. I've had 3 patents. I'm a polycyanator, but I've got patents, and I've had patents in super electronics, virtual reality, and motion simulation. I taught both at UCF and Full Sail for 6 years each, entertainment technology and project management for the game design master's degree at Full Sail. And then my goal is basically to transform the world of entrepreneurship. So that's basically where I'm at. So this is just some of the things that I've done in the past, and some of the clients I've had. Wayne and Armstrong and I go way back. I helped him write his first business plan. I'm breaking wings as the what should I call it, the flight surface testing project manager for the G4 Gulfstream. Built the first lantern systems for helped design and build the first lantern systems for Martin Marietta. This is a picture of our simulator on the wall of Paul Smith Simulation Center in what should I call it, the research park. And then this is the design of a Hyperloop system that we designed and built a prototype while Elon Musk was still in high school. So these are all, just some of the companies and organizations that I've worked for and what am I doing today? Well, I'm focusing right now my energies on an organization called Burnout Game Ventures, where we accelerate companies, game companies from 0 to ROI in 6 months or less. And essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to revolutionize entrepreneurship when we're starting with games. So what we do is, that's fine. So basically what we do is I've taken all the project management that I've used in the past for all these other industries and so forth, and I put it into gaming, and it's ultimately resulted in us being able to make games better, faster, cheaper. The typical Now, video games is over $180 billion industry right now per year. And so there's over 3 billion gamers in the world. And it's been growing at 10% a year on average for the last 20 plus years. So there's no other industry in the world that I know of that does that. So the problem is that 3% of the publishers in the game industry generate 94% of the revenues. Good news is that the other 6% of those revenues comes from independent developers, and that's still over $1 billion. And actually, that's nearly $11 billion. And our goal is to achieve 10% of that, which is really. In any case, the typical indie game takes 2 to 4 years to make. And a small team of people takes 2 to 4 years to make. Costs nearly $750,000, and yet generates less than 22,000 installs in its lifetime of 3 to 5 years. Our first 3 games we put out on an average of 6 months development generated 100,000 installs in the first year, and for less than 10% of the cost. And so this is what I've taken a lot of people ask me, a lot of venture capitalists and investors ask me, say, well, how applicable is this to anything else? And I'm like, if you don't focus on the product and you focus on the process, then it's good for everything. And I say, I learned how to do this by building, aircraft, and by designing motion simulators, and working with fax machine repair facilities and whatnot. I learned all these processes, and I'm applying them towards games. But this is just basically saying, hey, if I can do it in games, I can do it anywhere, right? So I can take these processes and I can put it in any company, whether it's desks or the game desks or 3D TVs or anything else. So, but that took a lot of these things. Okay. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, I tell people, I say, look, it's not for everybody, right? It's a unique set of skill sets that allows you to be successful. And there's 4 here that I believe that if you're not in the top 5% of humanity with these 4 things, then your journey won't be impossible. It'll just be harder. Okay? So if you focus on fomenting and fostering these 4 qualities in yourself, then your chances of being successful as an entrepreneur are much greater. Creativity, any problem solver, any creative, uses creativity, right? But you've got to use it in everything you do, right? Don't just, it's like a finger, right? A finger can pull a trigger, a finger can point, a finger can paint, a finger can write, a finger can do anything, right? So use your creativity in everything you do. Negotiating contracts, developing contracts. How about policies and procedures? How about planning? All these things take creativity, right? And so utilize creativity and enjoy using creativity in everything that you do. Initiative, that's where things really start to come into play, because if you're no offense to the people in this world that help make the world go around with the job, that doesn't take much initiative, right? Your boss tells you what to do and you do it. Okay, an entrepreneur doesn't have a boss to tell them what to do. That's why we have advisors. The thing is, though, is you've got to use your creativity to come up and understand what you need to do next, and then on your own, you got to take that initiative and just go do it. Okay. Risk tolerance. That's now things are exponentially getting harder and harder, right? Risk tolerance. If you're not willing to risk, and this is my own personal philosophy, yours might be different. If you're not willing to risk everything in life except your relationship with who, that's going to make your journey a lot harder. Okay, if you're married and with family and all that, your family's got to sign on 100%. But you got to understand, they're not going to be going out 3 or 4 times a week. They're not going to be going to movies once a week. They're not going on vacation this year or next, right? They all have to be on board. and they all have to support you. You know, your immediate support group has to support you in your endeavor because you're in this for the long term, right? They need to understand that they're going to benefit from your success through their support of you. And you can take a lot of risks. And when you take a lot of risks, you take a lot of hits. And that's where resilience comes in. So, you know, as an entrepreneur, you will literally get beat up every day. Every single day. Something's going to happen, right? And you need to be able to dust yourself off and say, let's get back to it, right? And the thing is one of the biggest reasons why, did you know incubators, 5% success rate? 5% of the companies that go through what, 7% through Y Combinator and whatnot, but 5% of companies that go through an incubator or business accelerator aren't around 2 years later, okay? And it's through no fault of the incubators, the accelerators, except for the fact that maybe they could, learn, have a better process in place in order for these companies to succeed, which is exactly what I've developed. The thing is, the biggest reason is they don't have the resilience, right? They basically apply different metrics to people that they want to bring in, and those metrics are flawed because they're basically, entrepreneurs, not entrepreneurs. They don't call us the 1% for nothing, right? The vast majority of people that are in the top 1% in the world are entrepreneurs, and they're self-made entrepreneurs. Yes, there's tons of trust fund babies, and there's tons of people that have, been, and legacy companies and so forth, but the vast majority are 1%ers. And 1%ers in Florida are people that are making more than $475,000 a year. That's it. Not millions and millions and millions, just $475,000 a year, and you're a 1%er in Florida. Okay. So, and the vast majority, like I said, are entrepreneurs. So with regard to entrepreneurship, okay, there are over 1,000 billion-dollar startups. Unicorns, they call them. Okay, these are companies that have started up in the last, so many years and got off the ground, and now they have a valuation of $1 billion. Now I take umbrage with this because people have lost their minds when it comes to valuation of companies. I talk to people in the game industry, and it's like, oh, we're 5 people, and we're not going to even have a product, let alone generate revenues for 4 years. And oh, I worked on Call of Duty, and she worked on League of Legends and blah blah blah. All 5 of us worked on great games and so forth, and have some responsibility, but they're not entrepreneurs. I got to teach them how to spell the word, and they have no business startup experience, no business experience. And yet, oh, we're gonna get $3 million for a $12 million valuation. It's like, right? $156 billion has been invested. Startups have generated $291 billion from that 156, but keep in mind that's not an average, right? That's a very small percentage of those startups that generated that. 70% start from home, and they typically work an average of 63 hours a week. Now, keep in mind that a large number of these people have other jobs. Okay, and they're starting their business, in their free time. Okay, and I have Elon up here because I consider him a pretty good entrepreneur. So the problem is 21% fail in the first year, and 92% in 3 years, and 0.02% like secure venture capital. We're reading about it all the time. Oh, this company raised 63 million. This company did 12 million. Blah blah blah. They're in the news because there's not much news to say, because only 0.02%, right, find venture capital, and the venture capital rate, failure rate is 75%. So, and this is from the Kauffman Foundation. The Kauffman Foundation is one of the top is the top entrepreneurial organization in the world. And yeah, they did an analysis some years back of the 400 venture capital firms that they fund, and they were involved. 42, the top 20 reasons why startups fail. The number one reason was at 42% for market for your product or service. Okay, so you're an entrepreneur. Come up with an idea. Put your time, money, you risk all these things, your savings, your 401k, everything else, your job, everything else, your family's livelihood, everything. You risk all this because you think you got a great idea. Then the venture cap, you somehow convince the venture capitalists that you've got a great idea, and they're supposed to be the smartest people in the room, and they invest millions of dollars into you, and you still fail because you don't have a product, you don't have a market for your product or service. Save your question. So, come on, guys. Not the right team, get out competed, product without a business model. 29% run out of money. What I found is that all of the top 20 reasons why a company failed is every single one. How? Project management. It's like love. It's the most important thing and the least understood thing. Okay. Project in business, that's what project management is. Everybody says, oh, I'm a project manager. Okay, so how do you collect your FWEs? What's that? How do you develop your backlog? I mean, and I've taught the PMP certification. I mean, I've done all this stuff, and it's like people don't really understand project management. Well, the thing is 80% of project management is planning. But the problem with planning is that, as Sir John Avery Jones says, it's an unnatural act. We hate it. We'd rather do anything else other than plan. Right? Oh, we haven't got time for planning. Let's just get it done. Oh, and let's just be another statistic. Right? Planning is an unnatural process. It's much more fun to do something else. But the good thing about not planning is that failure comes as a complete surprise. Right? Whereas the alternative is preceded by a period of worry and fear, despair. And when I read this quote many years ago, I thought to myself, I said, wait a minute, if you've got time to be worried or despair about the future of your business, you got time to fix it. So at the very least, a plan allows you a way to survive. Okay, very least. So why Steam? So everything created uses Steam. Everything, right? These chairs, the desk, the table, the ceiling tiles, this screen. Every single thing that is created uses science, technology, engineering, arts. Science is how stuff works, right? Engineers and artists design. Math is all at the heart of it, right? If you want something to look right. I mean, these tables, when they were designed, there's all kinds of calculations that went into them. The structural integrity of materials that are utilized. What glue do they use in order to make it have, 200-pound weight or whatever without breaking? All of it. I could go in for hours and talk just about a table, right? So all of this is utilized to create the tech that we all take for granted. So when I tell people about why should they be interested in STEAM, because the world is their oyster, right? STEAM college grads earn 15% more than other college grads and 82% more than high school grads. The biggest areas of where they can go into are right now environment, recycling, energy, and life sciences. And so I say, if you're interested in anything like that, let's go. And then, when you add entrepreneurship, so that's all I wanted to really say about STEAM and entrepreneurship. I don't think I'm plenty across.
I've been away from education so long. Any of this being taught at the high school level? Or is this like
Actually, they just passed a law that requires high school students to learn financial, whole economics. Yes. Yeah, I taught at UCF for 6 years with the Rosen College. I taught entertainment technology. And then because I do simulation business.
Yeah.
And so I was primarily in the location-based entertainment. It's just that, they're just like, we need you to help us get this college started, but you gotta teach. I'm like, what am I gonna teach? They're like, I don't know. So I went to my friends, I went to a friend of mine who at the time was the senior VP of operations at Universal. I said, John, what am I gonna teach him? He put his arm around me. He says, you're my new fresh grad, first day on the job. I'm like, yes, sir. And he says, we were walking into Islands of Adventure. He says, let me show you my $20 million high-tech roller coaster. And oh, by the way, you operate it, you just push this button right here. And I'm like, got it. So I created a whole course around teaching liberal arts students, how roller coasters work, right? How simulators work, how arcade games work, things like software applications for cash flow management, security, weather control, all that other kind of stuff. And really just, so when they go to the park, right, and they're gonna get this job running this simulator or this roller coaster or anything else, they have a much better understanding. And some of my students right now are, one of my former students just took the job ago as director of operations for the Disney park. So I was like, right. Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah, when I was talking about creativity and I would like to add one in there. It's the innovation. Innovation is something which you create from an existing disintegrated parts or systems. So you don't need to reinvent or invent something new. You can just reinvent based on the innovation. But as I'm saying earlier, innovation comes from integration.
Right.
You integrate multiple discrete systems to with something new, right?
Yeah.
That's not creativity. Creativity is, in my opinion, is completely finding something new. In my opinion, I find I'm looking forward to your answer for that. I know you have an answer. Innovation is creating or not reinventing or to integrate things from the discrete system, and that's in my opinion, that's the easiest part towards being successful.
Okay. I won't disagree on that part. However, you just said innovation is creating blah, blah, blah. Right? I consider innovation to be part of creativity. Creativity is this huge thing. Innovation is a part. Okay. An artist isn't really innovating like a mixed, an oil painting artist, for example. They're not really innovating. The ones that have innovated, like Picasso and Gauguin, like that. But the thing, because they innovate a different style of the thing is though is that innovation comes from, like you said, it's looking at some things and making them better, right? But that to me is just part of creativity. Okay. Yes.
There was a slide which is the market. I mean, the market is too small. Is that what?
No. No. So a lot of people focus, all the VC and investors these days, they're so focused on revenues. Right? Shows that's the only traction that they're interested in. Right? What's gone out the window is who's on your team. Because when I grew up and when I was doing businesses for many years, we invested in companies that had the best team, because we knew that an A team with a B product is a lot more successful than a B team with an A product. And right now, everybody's focusing on the C teams and the products.
How do you gauge it? Is it knowledge.
Experience is a good start, right? If I don't have that experience as a project manager, you know, I'm showing one of my flight simulators at ITSIC, and I've got the chief scientist from L3 Communications in there, and he's flying it around, and it's like, you know, having fun with it. And I had several members of the board behind me, and he's out and he says, "So what's your PhD in?" And I said, "Oh, I don't have a PhD, but I slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night." Right? And he didn't get it. And one of my top customers was the lead flight instructor for Rupert. He was like, "There's the processes," right? And so what these VC investors don't understand is that, yeah, this company generated a lot of revenues, but their service addressable market, which is part of their service obtainable market, which is part of their service addressable market, which is part of the total addressable market, they've already achieved a lot of the revenues, and so even with $1 billion, and they're still not. So
I
these
can add
guys,
something to that, this question. So how do we find a team is, the right mindset, then the skill set.
yeah, mindset.
Well, how does somebody, can see,
Gotta ask them the right
Determine
question.
that.
You gotta ask them the right questions, and they don't.
So he had a right word there, resilience, right? That's the topmost. I mean, I don't incubator, take incubator. I work with the teams, and I don't like immediately engage with them. I work with them for 2 to 3 months to see what kind of mindset they are having. Do they have resilience? That's the most powerful mindset that startup founders should have. Because as you said, every day startup will fail, a founder will fail, and every day they will success. So once we fail, we have to get up. That's a resilience, and that's a topmost mindset. I believe.
Yeah, that's a great point. Make sure you get one of each of these copies. They're up here if you get it. And my pleasure to hopefully.
What, is there anything in the community we can do for you?
I'm looking for a place to live right now. I knew the new headquarters for Burnout Game Ventures, so if you know of anything, let me know. We are looking for capital. You know, we've raised, 600,000 so far. Some of our investors have invested. It's just that, you know, we've got a new game coming out and we really want to market it and generate some capital traction for these investors so that so, you know, anybody who might be.
600,000 great. How much of that from before?
It's all.
Okay.
Yeah, huge. And I still own it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it's one of the things that I like about this talk is I look out at this room and I see a room full of smart people. And we are all connected to each other, not only because of the threat of entrepreneurship or the threat of being in Central Florida, but we know each other. And we may not realize it, but we know people who know important people. And others of us are looking for those important people. So we can make those connections because this is an entrepreneurial community. So I know Caesar knows some important people, and I know that if I need to meet them, I can. But then if Jezreel comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody who does this," and I know Caesar knows that person, I can make the introduction and ask that Caesar makes the introduction. That's the kind of community I want to build. So as you leave today, make some time to get to know each other, schedule coffee or lunch or something, hang out with each other, spend time together, learn who the other person knows, learn what the other person knows, because this can be valuable for you later on. I have seen relationships develop because of networking, not just here, but elsewhere. It works. It works when you connect to other people who understand what you do and trust you enough to introduce you to their people. So make that happen today as you leave, and we will see you all next week.
Anybody wants to take a look at the product, or anything else?
Yeah, let's do it.
Bye, gang.
Sorry, I was supposed to be.